Hi, Pete. Hello, Christie.
Hi.
How's it going?
Good. How are you guys?
We're good. Surviving the COVID lockdown.
We're getting through it one day
Yep.
at a time. How about you guys?
You know, every day is different for us. We're kind of adapting to the new virtual lifestyle, like running classes online and stuff. So, yeah, it's different, but it's good. It's busy. You know what I mean? Like we're able to stay busy.
In some ways, I feel like it's busier right now because it's
Yeah,
like trying to
definitely.
make all these changes and figure out your new routine and what's going to work. And some days are slow, but then some days it's like I'm busier than I was before all this happened.
Yeah, big time. It's weird. And for me personally, like I know Pete's pretty good with technology and so is PT, but I am so bad at it. I am so bad at it. They don't even let me like play with our membership portal. So I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot. I have an office down here now. It's great. How is the family doing? How's Brock and DJ? Because last time we chatted, I think DJ was getting tested, right?
He was. So we got his test result back yesterday and it came back negative, which is great.
Thank God.
Yeah. And there were, we think at least 4 or 5 people on the plane with the Ottawa Senators who did test positive. So
Wow.
we feel really lucky. That really scared us, I think, just because we realized like how close it was to us. And also I'm 18 weeks pregnant now. So I guess just personally, I wanted to really make sure that I was safe. I know they say that there's not a lot of data right now about how it affects pregnant women, but they weren't overly concerned about it. So that part was good, but I still don't want to take any chances. So anyway, he self-isolated. He was actually outside of his quarantine period by the time he got his results. But there were other people that got their results, a day before him or 2 days before him, and they were positive.
That's scary stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I was on a phone call yesterday with a bunch of CrossFit trainers, and a young boy died. Like an athlete that one of the trainers coached, Joe DeGain. He a kid on a football team he helped coach, like died from COVID. And he was he was young. Like he was like I think I forget the age, but it was like under 25, 100% sure it was under 25. And he was severely obese. That was the thing there. But it's, you hear a lot of people saying like, oh, I'm young, I'm it's all good, but that's not the case, right? Like we're hearing more and more of young people being affected by it. So as a pregnant woman, I feel like there's no doubt that it's scary. And like, even though there's not a lot of research done on it, it's still something you want to be uber cautious about, right?
Yeah. And you guys, I know with young kids and Pete with your little baby, like, I think there's so much that we don't know about it because it is still so new. And so it's been actually really inspiring watching you guys take such a leadership role right from the beginning with this and tell people. I think you were the first, I could be wrong, but I think you guys were like the first gym.
People keep on saying that. I don't know if that's an official stat, but we were early.
Yeah.
Early. We just kind of saw it coming, and
I follow some of the major CrossFit gyms across North America, at least like the US and Canada.
Mm-hmm.
And I was kind of surprised when you guys first did it. I was thinking, okay, like it was almost a relief in a way because I wanted to keep going.
Mm-hmm.
I think so many of us do as part of our routine. We're like, one more workout, come on.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a relief knowing that option was taken away now and figure something out, because now you're not going to put yourself at risk. So I really commend you guys for doing that. That was a bold move.
Oh,
yeah. And I kind of touched on this when we talked to Faraz a little bit, but like our goal is to get people as healthy as possible. It would be kind of counterintuitive if we kept our doors open when there's a virus like taking over the world. You know what I mean? So I think the public's health was in our best interest, and it always will be. So, but yeah, thank you. So yeah,
that was a great podcast, by the way. I listened to that.
Did you like that one? That guy's awesome.
He is so awesome. And I watched it. I worked for CTV for so many years, so I'm familiar. Had no idea that he's a former NCR member. I was like, oh my gosh, like,
Oh,
look at our
Yeah,
membership.
he's a lot of people message me after that podcast and they're like, man, I wish I came to the gym when he was there. He seems like such a great guy.
yeah, he's
He's
awesome.
great. He's super funny.
So much information and knowledge. It's great.
So I saw that you launched your nutrition company kind of right before all this happened, right? And I just wanted to talk about that a little bit. I thought right now is a really good time to dial in your nutrition. I mean, there's it's always a good time, but given the fact that we're stuck in our homes, and I'm going to speak on behalf of myself, and you guys can agree or disagree with me, but I feel like eating crap almost daily. I don't know what it is. I think it's just like the energy out there. But, you know, when I saw you launch your thing, I was like, man, this is a great time for a lot of people out there to dial in their nutrition, right? So why don't you tell us a little bit about that and kind of how you came to start your own company and stuff?
Yeah, so it's called Apples and Abs, and it started for me actually after having Brock. So Brock will be 4 in June. I had Brock. I was always super active. I didn't CrossFit before Brock, but I started shortly after. And I was having a really hard time getting back to my pre-baby weight. And I was that person who never left the gym, like the ones that you guys are probably like, they cringe from, like, can you just go home? I would work out for like 3 hours a day. At the time I was at CrossFit Coliseum, and they let you bring your baby. But I'm sure that Paul McIntyre would agree that he was sick of Brock at times. And I just was trying so hard, and I got to within 10 pounds, but I couldn't get back, and I couldn't figure out why. I was like, well, maybe it's because I had my baby a little older. Like, I just don't get it. And I thought I was eating really healthy. Like, I really genuinely thought at that time that I was eating the foods that were out there that they were saying to eat. And one big push had been around that time too, is to eat less carbs. Not necessarily, I wouldn't necessarily eat no carbs, but I would eat less carbs. And what ended up happening was I was holding on to a lot of fat, and I was working out so much that I really did need those carbs that I wasn't consuming. And I got a nutrition coach, and she changed everything for me. Then I finally was able to eat within balance again, figure out what balance looked like for me. And it really did change my life, and it was freeing in so many ways. And I like quickly became, I lost the weight quickly, and even went beyond my goal with where I wanted to be in terms of body fat and that kind of stuff. But I stayed with her for like 7 or 8 months just because I wanted to see how she would like tweak my program and macros, because I was so interested in it. And then around that time, I also said, like, well, where did you study? And she started with precision nutrition. Pete, I think you did it or are doing it too.
Yeah, currently. Yeah.
And I loved it. Like, I just love the advice in it. I love how they talk about coaching, and the coaching being a big factor of it too, and keeping people motivated when it comes to their nutrition. And so, yeah, I chipped away at it, and my friend was doing it at the same time as well, who was also a coach at CrossFit Coliseum. She became Carolyn Prevost's nutrition coach. So we got to kind of play around and experiment a little bit with how it helped Carolyn, which was like absolutely fascinating to watch, and to watch Carolyn explode as an athlete. And that's Ashley Nardella. Her coach is Based on Balance. And so through all of that, kind of in this whole process, I was thinking, you know what, DJ and I are in a situation now where most members know of him. I'm going to just mention he's the head coach of the Ottawa Senators. When we moved from Toronto, which is where we were before with the Leafs, to Ottawa, I worked in Toronto, but this was the first time I wasn't working. And I was like, how can I help people? What can I do that's a little bit different? And also having some access to nutritionists in the field of sports, and some kind of interesting characters that I can interview along the way. And all these ideas came up, and finally I said, okay, like, my big thing will be creating a website. Like, I love to coach people, but I want to share information and put information out there that's free, that can help people get motivated and start to understand nutrition a little bit better, and also start to dispel some of the myths that are out there about it.
Cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Thanks.
So this company, the goal, would you say, of your company is to do exactly that, what you said at the end there, is to mainly sort of give out information free to the public, or are you taking on like clients? Are you taking on like individual clients? Let's say if someone wants to tweak their nutrition, can they come to you and like pay you money to help them with that?
100% they can. I do offer coaching, and that is something that I'm passionate about. I have a roster of people that I'm working with right now. But Apples and Abs, part of it, yeah, if people want to reach out to me and they want some coaching, I'm here to help, and I would love to help them. But I really love the idea of information sharing as well, and writing again. And I was a journalist for 13 years. So I really love looking at information and going like, okay, what are the experts saying about this? Are there differing opinions on it? How do we kind of put this together? So like, what are the studies actually saying? Not just someone's interpretation of a study, those kinds of things. So I just like, personally, I feel really, really passionate about it, and kind of like just a nutrition nerd. I love looking into this stuff. So for me, Apples and Abs and being able to share some information on a blog, if you go on the blog now, there's already like, I think over a dozen blog posts, because I've been writing stuff for a while. I just didn't have the website up.
Right.
So that kind of stuff has been something that I'm really passionate about. I've always loved sharing news and information with people, especially accurate information. So that's the bigger goal of the website, but definitely, yeah, I'm here to coach too.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Do you find that your clientele, or just yourself in general, like being at home, like Reza said, is it more of a challenge for people to stick to their nutrition regimen now that we're stuck at home? In theory, you could say that it should be easier if you write it down on paper. We're at home. We've got available to us the groceries that, you know, any nutritionist or a nutrition coach would say that you need to buy to keep a healthy diet, right? You have access, unlimited access to your kitchen, right? You're not stuck to your desk at work and all this. But for whatever reason, like Reza said, it seems like all we want to do is eat like crap. Like, are you finding the same thing with your clients? And like, how do you work around that, or how do you motivate them to make the necessary changes?
Yeah. So I definitely am seeing people telling me they want to snack more. That's been a big theme from clients of mine, and even just general people who've reached out who are like, what do I do? And that can be a result of stress and boredom. I think in the email you guys sent out today, there was like a really cool quote about discipline equals freedom. So for many of us, when we're used to getting up at 5:30 a.m., hitting the 6 a.m. class, we know what we're going to eat in between. We have our lunch at a certain time because of work. All of a sudden we're home, and a lot of us home with our kids, which is a whole other element.
That's another ball game.
Yeah. And then you're going into like, what time do I work out? What classes are available? Can I do a class? Do I work out on my own? Like, there's a lot going on right now for people that's creating stress. And
I literally tried, like, right before this podcast, I tried to work out, and like, I forgot that I had to do a couple things. So I just aborted that whole idea, and I'm going to do it later. But normally that wouldn't happen. You know, it's almost like you're living on a whim.
Yeah. I think that's totally normal right now. And so one thing I'm telling clients is like, you know what, it might not be perfect right now. Let's try to change our mindset. Like you said, Pete, this might be an opportunity for people as opposed to something that can be harder for them. If they can get their minds around that, you know, look, you guys have access to the kitchen for the first time ever. You've lost some control, but why don't you focus instead on what you can control? And you really can control your nutrition, even if you think you can't. So having an arsenal of healthy snacks, this is something I repeat constantly, and you'll probably see it throughout my Instagram feed all the time, but prepping your veggies is huge, because if you have that Tupperware full of whatever your favorite vegetables are, and you know that you can reach for that first, that can be something that will take, you know, that crunch of a cucumber can sort of simulate a chip. Those kinds of things that you're bored. You just want to eat something. You just want to chew on something. My wife will
love that. She loves prepping veggies.
I love it. I swear it saves me. And even my son, if you watch the way I feed my son, I try really hard to keep him eating healthy, but this kid loves hot dogs. Raw hot dogs. That's disgusting. People always joke, they're like, this just must kill you inside. And it kind of does, but it's also my own fault. I don't have to buy them, but I do. But he'll go into the fridge and find them and pull them out.
The frozen hot dog.
It's so gross. But what I try to do is I'm like, okay, like, can we find some balance here? Like, fine, you're going to have the hot dog, but here's veggies that I've already got ready. So I'm not stressed about getting these ready for you. They're just here. I grab a handful and he eats them because they're on his plate every day. And I do too, because when they're there and I want something else that's, less nutritious for me, at least I can get that first and then think again, okay, am I really hungry right now? Or was I just bored and wanting something?
That's right. So you're almost working with the problem instead of against it. It's like, that being at home, sitting around, you're going to need to snack, you're going to want to snack constantly. It's like, instead of fighting it and saying, don't snack, it's just make your snacks a little healthier than they were before.
For sure. And maybe have some snacks, but recognize it and have smaller meals. So if you know what your portions would be, you're like, okay, well, I've had some snacks today. I had kind of paying attention to what you're eating too, in terms of like, is it more of a carb snack? Is this more of a fat snack? And if it is, I've had a lot of carbs for dinner. Maybe tonight I have a little less at supper.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. I mean, some days I don't even want to have a full meal because I just I'm snacking all day. I feel like I haven't even cooked a meal at all. I'm just like constantly in and out the fridge. I go grab something, sit down, eat it. I don't know about you guys, but that's kind of almost the routine I've fallen into.
I've definitely fallen into like a lot lighter dinners.
Yeah.
Heavier lunches and breakfast, but dinner I'm trying to keep really light.
What were you going to say, Russ?
I was gonna say, well, like Pete, I know that you've like taken on some nutrition clients as well, and it's interesting listening to you guys talk, because it seems like there's a lot of like you guys talk a lot about like routine and like getting your mind right, and it sounds like it's more mental for people than it is actually like physical, right? Like, and I'm not saying that's the case, but I'm kind of turning that into a question. Like, do you guys find when you're coaching an athlete on their nutrition, there's a lot of like mental obstacles that you got to overcome with these athletes as opposed to actual like nutrition based stuff, right?
Yeah, I would agree with you. You go ahead and answer that, Christie.
I think that it's 80% mental. I think that there's so much of there's emotions tied to eating, right? Like there's history, there's family values tied to eating. So it can be really hard to want to change when you're in a routine. And what I like to ask people is like, is this working for you? Like Pete, we had a conversation briefly at the gym and I was asking you, what you eat before workouts or something like that. And you were talking about how you fast and that how doing that and not eating a big breakfast has changed everything for you. And so what I would say as a coach is that then you're right, because it's working for you. If what you're doing is not working for you and you've been trying to lose that 10 pounds for the last year and you're not losing it, that's when you need to make a change. So yeah, I think a lot of it's mental, and then also like controlling what you're allowing in your house. Like I said, like if I really don't want my son eating hot dogs, then I just quietly stop buying them. So that can be huge, especially right now with snacking.
There's a lot of people out there there's a lot of people that think that it's just like a binary decision of yes or no, like to eat this or not to eat this is the question, right? And people in theory, they'll say that it's an easy thing to do to eat healthy because all you need to do is say no to the junk food. But it's like you said, there's so many other factors, emotional factors, lifestyle factors, convenience factors, stress factors, kid factors that come into play when controlling what goes in your mouth, that it all needs to come into consideration. And a lot of the time it's a mindset that helps people wrap their head around sort of, I guess, the categorization of a bunch of decisions that can look overwhelming. But if you have a certain mindset going into a day or a week or a month, that, it doesn't necessarily have to be perfect, but if I have a general outline, then I can be at least heading in the right direction. It's a lot like fitness, Res. It's like, in terms of using CrossFit as an example, a lot of the time you're just trying to motivate people to take that first step and come into the gym. Don't worry about anything else. Just walk in the door every day. That's your job. Right.
Yeah.
And if you can make those small decisions with your nutrition as well, then you're usually setting yourself up on the right foot.
So small changes for bigger changes.
Yeah, it's like if you take someone, I'm sure you'll agree with me, Christy. If you get someone who comes up to you and says, "I want to add 100 pounds onto my snatch," right? You're not going to have such an accelerated program that in a month they're going to be snatching 100 pounds more, right? Either they do it or they injure themselves in the process, right?
100%.
The same kind of thing can go for nutrition. If you want them to be successful long term and keep the 100 pounds on their snatch, or you want them to continue to lead a healthy lifestyle eating wise, then those small steps are going to be able to allow them to be successful in the long run.
Yeah, especially with nutrition, keeping people healthy, it's all about doing it relatively slowly. If you want to either gain or lose weight, you don't want to do it rapidly, because that'll end up backfiring. It actually hurts your metabolism. It slows it down. So typically speaking, yeah, like you want a client, for example, with a weight loss goal, which would be the majority of them. You want to make changes that are gradual, maybe losing even half a pound a week, maybe not losing any weight the first couple of weeks as they just adjust to a new style of eating and new goals, and actually looking at what their proteins, carbs, and fats should look like for them on a daily basis. That kind of stuff can take time, and it can take the body time to adjust to it. So it's kind of like CrossFit, where we would say, well, trust the process. You're going to get there. But you have to trust it, and it has to be slow, because I think, like, even if you look at The Biggest Loser, you guys remember that show?
Yeah.
They looked at a lot of those contestants, and almost all of them ended up gaining the weight back, which is so sad, because they knew what to do and they did all the right things, but it was so fast that their bodies weren't able to adjust to it. And eventually most of them gained their weight back or went back to old habits, because they put them at such a strict calorie deficit and such an intense workout regime that they weren't able to sustain that in regular life.
Yeah, it sucks.
One of my colleagues had a really good example for that phenomenon. It's like your body has a thermostat and you have it set to a certain temperature, and it's really warm. And instead of to make the house cooler, you turn down the temperature on the thermostat. You keep the thermostat up and you just open every window in your house. And really quickly the house becomes cold, but as soon as you shut all the windows, it's warm again. It's like you need to turn the thermostat down, and gradually the temperature of the house is going to come down and stay at a consistent level, rather than just trying to overload it with all this, huge rush of cool air. And that's kind of the example of, trying to just go way too quick through the process. And your body has that internal thermostat where it likes to be where it's at. It has a homeostasis where if you try and take it too far out of its comfort zone too fast, it's just going to go right back to where it likes to be.
I agree with that.
Christy, I know you said, so I'm just going to bring it back to the fact that, like, I think Pete agrees with me that we all just feel like eating like garbage because of this whole situation. And you mentioned your trick was like preparing the veggies. Do you have any other tips for people when it comes to like that? Like, I know personally too, like on super rainy days, like I think it was last Monday when it like everything was kind of becoming more real, I was just like, forget this, and I just totally like threw the day out the window. But do you have any other tips or tricks or like maybe other snack ideas for people when they're feeling that way, instead of like, what I do is I'm just like, I write the day off and I just go for it. But like, what are some other tips that you would offer people?
I would first say, before anything, grab a glass of water. Make it whatever, dress it up if you want, throw some ice cubes in it, maybe a slice of lemon, but have a glass of water and actually force yourself to drink the full glass of water. And just I feel like I have a half glass of water around me at all times, but it's never actually drank. But have that first, because a lot of times we get confused being dehydrated or thirsty for hungry. So that's super common. The other thing that we confuse is boredom. So we're not really hungry, we're just bored and we want to do something. So as you're drinking your glass of water, maybe ask yourself that question and like try to listen to your hunger cues, because your body actually has these real physical hunger cues that I think over time a lot of us have started to ignore. So yeah, ask yourself, am I really hungry right now? Yes or no. If you're hungry, eat something, because that's important. But if you're not and you're just bored, then move on and find something else to do. Sometimes, and one other thing I've been encouraging people to do is maybe just the act of baking something or making something alone is what you needed. You might not have actually needed that food. You might have just needed to do something and you feel like you don't know what to do.
Yeah, I know people that do that.
So the glass of water, and then if you're just not that into water, a tea, especially like a non-caffeinated, is a great second choice. And I'm not really drinking coffee right now because my body's just rejecting it. I'm pregnant, but a little bit of coffee doesn't hurt either. And sometimes it actually acts as an appetite suppressant. So I'm not telling people to suppress your appetite. That's not what I mean. But I mean, if you're mindlessly snacking, then maybe that is the best thing to do. Try to find another element to get rid of that. Get outside if you can. I know you said about the rainy days, and those are the hardest days, I think, because we feel so stuck inside, whereas on sunny, warmer days we can get out and maybe almost trick our brains that we're not in this quarantine period. And get our kids out too, which is like, I don't know, my kid's 3, so getting him outside is everything right now. Even today it's so cold and I was like, I don't care, we went out for an hour. But doing that, and that's another thing too that kind of can go hand in hand with you guys keeping people motivated to get that workout done at home. But you're going to be burning more neat calories, so the calories that you use throughout your whole day, right? Those ones actually add up more than what we typically do in just our workout. So if you can stay busy and moving, whether it's outside with your kids or finally getting to some yard work or things that you don't normally get to do because you're just not around your house like this, that can actually end up turning this crummy situation into a lot more positive one, because you might actually start to see results that you weren't having before because you were stuck at a desk all day, for example.
Yeah, totally. I know when I go for like a run and I come back in, I'm not hungry. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the endorphins or whatever, but that leads me to another question I want to ask you. And this question might sound super simple, but I'm going to ask it just so people out there can hear the answer from you. How do you know when you're hungry? Like I know when there's like that hunger pain, like when you haven't eaten in a while and you're actually physically like you feel something in your stomach, but like what's another good indicator for people to know when they're actually hungry?
Versus bored, you mean?
Yeah. Like how do you know that now is a good time to eat? Like are there other like signs that your body will give you?
For me, it's in my stomach.
Yeah.
For sure. That's where I feel it. And like, I definitely feel a difference between if I'm just bored and want a snack, or if I can, like, I'm not telling people to wait till you're in like full blown hunger mode,
Yeah.
because that can be bad too. Because if you actually let it go for too long, it can backfire on you. And then you're just trying to eat everything all at once. Some people, instead of looking at what would a smart portion of this food actually be. But yeah, for me, I definitely feel it in my stomach. I can kind of feel a rumble. I guess I'd call it a little rumble. And I try to listen to that. If I'm thirsty, dry mouth, those kinds of things. When you urinate, it's more yellow than it should be. That's a good sign of you're not getting enough hydration, which is a big thing during all of this too. I think for some of us with our gym routine, it's like I would fill up my 2 liters, make sure I drank this much. But now that I'm not doing that, and instead of working out at 9:30, I'm working out at noon. A lot of times by noon, I realize like I haven't even come close to drinking as much water as I would have before. And that can make me feel hungry, even though I'm actually just thirsty.
I think one thing too would be just to try, like sometimes it's hard to tell, but if you try those tips that you said and you're still hungry after those things, then that would be the indicator, right? Like if you have your glass of water, if you try and distract yourself by picking up a task at home or going outside and you're still like, man, I'm starving, then that's probably the sign that you should go eat something.
Totally. Slowing down. I think we're just used to this like fast-paced world that's slowing down on us right now. So there's a lot of us who are like, I want this now. And there's an immediacy to it, instead of saying like, well, let's just slow down for a sec, have this glass of water, just go do something really quick. And if I come back and I'm still hungry, then I need to eat.
Mm-hmm.
Totally.
I think people need to watch in general their portions, and nutrition coaches are really great at being able to go, okay, you, Reza, are this weight, you do this for a living. They can look at all the things that make you, your age, and kind of come up with an idea of the calorie goal and macro goal for you. But for the general public who can't afford a nutrition coach right now, or isn't even, they're just their mind isn't there. It's really easy to Google hand portion guide, and that can give people a really good idea of your hand is built for you, right? It's part of your body. If you look up hand portion guide on the internet and Google it, you can get a good idea of what your serving of protein should look like, which they say is the palm, fist for veggies, a cup of your hand for your carb, and then your thumb for fat. And you want to split that into 3 or 4 meals per day, if not more. Pete, someone like you probably have more because you're working out so hard for the games right now, I think. So that can be just a quick little tip for people too, who are going through this right now. And, you know, a lot of us can't afford what we could afford before because we're on layoff or whatever, but still care about nutrition. So don't let it go. There's so many free resources out there that you can look into. And that's an easy one that you can do for yourself at home, and think about still eating within balance at your different meals throughout the day, including snacks.
That's a great tip.
Yeah. Christie, I need to ask this question because I love asking this question to everyone. But like, cheat meal, cheat day, what does it look like? Like all out, I want to know every detail. Like, just go.
This is what the podcast is really about.
Yeah, this is
like,
what I really want to know.
What would my cheat meal look like?
Yes.
Or okay, well, ice cream.
What kind?
I love ice cream. I don't know, it switches like frequently, but I guess like a Blizzard, or when I started tracking my macros, when I did my CrossFit level 1, they were teaching, and you guys would know if you guys are still, are you guys still teaching zone in the level 1?
We recommend it as a good starting point. We used to preach it a lot, like harder, like our go-to. Now it's a general overview of like all the different kind of ways to track your macronutrients, but the zone is like sort of the good starting point. That's what we preach.
So one of our coaches was saying, and I mean, you know, you walk in and this person's like completely chiseled, like looks like specimen of a human, right? So you're going to listen to what they have to say. But he was like, I actually eat half a chocolate bar every day.
No way.
That's Jason McDonald.
That's and I remember thinking like, are you effing kidding me? But I literally watched him eat his lunch, and he did.
Yeah.
And that was back when I didn't understand, like I thought I understood it, but I really didn't. And so now when you ask me about a cheat meal, like I try really not hard not to have a cheat day, Reza. I try to work in treats that I like into every day. So I never feel like I have to just have a day where I like completely explode. Because I never feel good after doing that, but I still love pizza. So what am I going to do tonight if I want a piece of pizza that's going to have a lot of fat and carbs, but not a lot of protein? I'll probably try to have more protein throughout my day and less fat and carbs, and save it for tonight. And it still won't be a perfect day for me, and I know that, but I'll feel a lot better than I will if I just like blew it out on a Sunday.
I definitely find that is the mantra that works for me. It's like the 80-20, the consistent 80-20, like throughout the week. You know, if there's going to be like a competition or something, then you dial it in a little more, maybe a few months beforehand, but like it keeps you sane knowing that you can give yourself that treat whenever you like, and everything will be okay. You know, it
will be. And you can't when you coach people and like you tell them like you can actually have some chocolate, they're like, what?
Yeah.
And you can, like, you really can. That's what I thought when Jason said that. And now I totally get it, and I know how to do it. And that has been life-changing for me, because I can actually eat something that I enjoy that's not like a quote unquote bad food. I'm not into like assigning moral values to food anymore. Like, let's just get rid of that and just think of all food as fuel, and there's a time and place for everything.
Big time.
Okay, so pizza and ice cream.
Pizza and ice cream.
Have you,
That's a
have you
short
ever
answer.
have you ever had Haagen-Dazs chocolate peanut butter ice cream?
Oh my God. You're
That's
speaking my language.
that's my thing. That's my
Oh,
thing.
peanut butter chocolate is probably my favorite. But do you guys know in Ottawa, have you guys been to Carp Creamery?
No.
Yes, I
Oh,
have been.
actually, I've
I
had
have
it.
been.
I went to there was like the Carp Farmers Market. I had it there.
It is arguably the best ice cream I've ever had.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
their flavors, like they have one called peanut butter and jelly.
Wow.
Oh my gosh. You guys, I've never had anything like it. It is absolutely mind blowing.
Okay, so after this whole COVID thing is over, then
yeah, so I'm gonna tell everyone like eat healthy, and by the way, the Carb Creamery.
Yeah. Well, you know what? We'll try and work in one of those 20% meals with you, maybe at the Carb Creamery once this is all blown over.
Going to drive out there.
Yeah.
And that's one thing. I was having this conversation with someone. They were like, economically speaking, it makes much more sense to buy their tub of whatever ice cream and bring it home. And I was like, it might economically, but good luck to you if you have the willpower to have that. I think I know who you're talking about. And not be eating it every day.
I definitely do not. If there's something good in my house, it's gone within minutes.
Yeah.
Totally. And if you can slow down right now too, like a lot of people are ordering their groceries online. And I remember someone once saying to me like, well, that's lazy. I'm like, that's not efficient. And you're also hopefully able to order things at a time when you can make kind of smart decisions instead of like turning the corner and seeing these chips that you've wanted for so long. So if you're ordering your stuff online, then you can look at like, okay, what do I really need? What recipes am I going to make? So I've planned ahead of time, and you're not wasting your time in those junk food sections that you really don't need to be in anyway.
That's right. I never really thought about it like that, because you're not browsing. It's not like
nothing catches your eye.
That's right. Yeah. Huh.
Like a sale on your favorite ice cream.
Yeah.
Especially if you think like, oh, I'm not that hungry when you went in there, but suddenly you are, and then you're like, oh, those salt and vinegar chips from Farm Boy are so good, and they are. Like that can be really like difficult for some people to not not grab them. Totally. And for me personally, like if I can just plan ahead and know this is what I need and then order those things, then I don't have as many options. I have like a lot of meat and vegetables in my house right now.
That's awesome. I know Lex just went to the grocery store, and before she left, she was like, do you need me to get anything? Because obviously now going to the grocery stores, it's like deal. Yeah, it doesn't happen as frequently, and I was just like, just get me a treat. So we'll see what she got me. Yeah. Okay, sweet. Christie, can you tell us where, like, if people want to talk to you about their nutrition, how they can find you? I know on Instagram, I think it's at Apples and Abs.
With like an N. Yeah.
Apples and Abs. And then you said you had a blog. What's the website for the blog?
So it's linked through Instagram too, but it's apples, APPLESN, like the letter N, and then abs.com.
Sweet. So I'll add all that in the YouTube comments. Yeah, I think we'll wrap it up there. It was awesome talking to you and seeing you.
It's awesome seeing you guys too. I miss having you coaching me every day.
Yeah, we miss you guys. We miss everyone. It's weird, but we are doing Zoom classes. You got to try one.
I do have to try one. I haven't using this. I set it up for a meeting before all of this happened. I had Zoom for like one meeting, but I hadn't been using it that much, so I'm a little less afraid. But I'm like you, Reza. I'm not great with technology.
Yeah, it's pretty easy stuff. Yeah, and like I find like the first class we did, it was kind of weird to me, and then now it seems a little bit more normal, and it's kind of fun. Like it's the best thing that you're gonna get that's not seeing people in person. So it's as close as you can get. Can I ask
you guys a question? Are you able to actually like see, like, are you still able to be like, Christie, your hips aren't coming far enough back on your squat? Like, can you actually see?
Totally. Yeah. We coach people, and it's funny. I was talking to someone about this. It's like, I can see more, you know what I mean? Because when I'm in a class and I'm staring at you, I'm like, based on how I'm standing and where I'm sitting, I'm focused on you. But now what I've started to do when I coach my Zoom classes is I get people, like we did Cindy yesterday. And what I asked the athletes to do is, like, when you guys get to your squats, turn around every time. So that every time I see you doing your squats, I'm looking at a different angle of you doing your squats. And so it was like, I'm still able to provide coaching. I mean, it's not as good as the real deal, but it's still pretty good. And like, I see people like reacting to my cues. So it's still it's getting the job done. You know, it's getting the job done. So it's
So
very unique.
so we can't wait for you to have you on there. You got to come experience.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I do
try
want
it.
I
And
really hope for you guys that I sincerely absolutely mean this. There's so much content right now that, you know, you guys are putting out. CrossFit Coliseum, I've seen them doing a lot of things too, and it's free and accessible to people, and they're at home now and don't have their commute time that they used to have anymore. So one, I hope people are staying motivated. It's motivating for me personally to see you guys doing that and being leaders and actually showing me your workouts too and what they look like and tips. But two, I hope that you guys pick up more clients from this, because I'm hoping that more people in like the average public who lost their gyms and their gyms have closed and didn't really have a routine before and can look at CrossFit as an example now for the things that are available for them to do. And I really hope when this is all over, it ends up meaning more members for awesome people and gyms like you guys.
We're with you on that. We hope it reaches a few people that are inspired by the at-home workouts. It's easy because it's easy for people who don't have time to go to the gym to make that excuse to compare themselves to the people that are like driving out, going to the gym, actually attending a class. But now that everyone's in the same boat and everyone's working out, now there's no excuses. Free workouts. What do you have to lose, right?
And you keep your sanity.
Exactly. Exactly.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Christie, for that. That was awesome.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Hopefully the next time we see you will be in person or in one of those classes.
Yep.
Yes,
All
definitely.
Right.
Okay.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.